Hello, my wonderful viewers, and welcome back. It's Akiziel here, and today I'll be bringing you episode 6 of the Lore of Guem. If you enjoy my content, I'd appreciate if you like, comment, and subscribe. Before I begin, I'd like to thank you for watching, especially those who comment. It really means a lot to me that you guys take an interest in this little writing project of mine. Before I speak about the Alliance itself, I need to give the context behind its creation. The formation of the Naval Coalition initially led to a surge in the number of pirates. You're probably wondering how the formation of an anti-piracy coalition led to the emergence of more pirates. You see, the coalition's formation and following growth caused a sharp decline in the demand for privateers because it ended rivalries which once provided work for said privateers. While some found work in organizations such as the Coalition or the Mercenary Guild, many more were faced with the choice of leaving the seas behind for good or continuing piracy as criminals. At first, each crew operated independently and thus made for easy pickings for the Coalition's navy. Pirate captains and their crews were being apprehended alarmingly quickly, and not just the smaller crews, but legendary privateers such as Captain LeChuck and Captain Icarusty. For many pirates, it seemed that their way of life was coming to a rather abrupt end as they were relentlessly pursued by an organized, well-trained, and well-equipped opponent whose numbers were beyond the capability of any one group to contend with. It was under such dire circumstances that Captain Sarah Killicrew sent the call for other pirates to meet at Shark Island, a tax haven off the coast of Vergon, to discuss an alliance. The location was well known as a neutral port where pirates could dock to conduct repairs on their ships and buy supplies. There were very few captains who were not willing to either attend or send a representative, especially after hearing that other renowned pirates such as Captain Blood, Captain Mangleshell, and Captain Brarcook Rumrudder were attending. On the days leading up to the meeting, more crews than most people knew still existed had sailed to Shark Island. There were black flags as far as the glinting eyes of the local merchants could see. Every purveyor of lumber, rum, beer, dried meats, and other essentials for the highwaymen of the seas welcomed them and their gold with open arms. The local merchants were not the only ones drawn by the many vessels congregating at Shark Island. From the shark-infested waters surrounding the island came Captain Curzes Undine, Lord of the Eastern Tropics and bearer of the legendary sword Tidebringer. His arrival at the gathering shocked many, for it was rare that the merfolk took any significant interest in the affairs of the surface world beyond collecting a toll for the use of the seas. It was rarer still to see one of their leaders, a member of the Seven Ocean Lords. Unbeknownst to the pirates of the surface world, Captain Undine's reason for aiding them was not out of any fondness for them, but a calculated action. The merfolk had generally never been fond of the surface folk, and some even despised them. However, the conflict on the surface could not be ignored, for several ocean lords feared the possibility of a united surface world. The first meeting was hosted aboard the flagship of the Killicrew pirates, the Iron Maiden, and more meetings soon followed due to disagreements that inevitably arose. Groups formed and argued over issues of hierarchy, code of conduct, and more. Were it not for Captain Undine, who settled the dispute by proposing a version of the system used by the merfolk themselves, the alliance may very well have remained nothing more than an idea. A flag was made to represent the unified pirates, composed of a death's head surrounded by a ring of 7 swords to represent the seven pirate lords. At the time, the 7 were those of the most powerful fleets. Later referred to as the First Court, the group consisted of Captains Blood, Brarcook Rumrudder, Dana, Curzes Undine, Mangleshell, Sarah Killicrew, and Theoden Valvalor. The plans had been made, and the fledgling alliance turned its attention to the question of where to make their base. There were many neutral ports and hidden coves, but no location that the Alliance could truly call its own. At least, none that were not already occupied. Captain Blood was the one who stepped forward and proposed a seemingly simple solution to the dilemma. If all suitable options were taken, why couldn't they simply take one? They were pirates after all, and plundering others was their way of life. Why could that not extend past valuables such as gold, silver, and jewelry? These questions were answered with muttering from many attendants as they deliberated on which location to pick. Blood's growing mischievous grin silenced the muttering without the need for a single word. All waited for him to unveil his plan, only to be surprised when he shouted the order to two crewmen waiting outside the room. "Bring him in." Gazes diverted in anticipation before the pair, each with a black piranha emblazoned on their white shirts, dragged in a bound man clad in a blood-stained coalition uniform, with a potato sack over his head. The captain and his captivated audience watched as the two men unveiled the prisoner. They untied the rope which held the burlap sack over their prisoner's head, and unceremoniously yanked it up and off, revealing fair skin marred by bruises and scars, and brown hair left caked with dried blood. The sunlight that streamed through the cabin's windows caused the man to wince, shielding his eyes. "Talk, ye scurvy dog," the captain commanded, and the Marine obliged, albeit with an exhausted, hoarse tone, and an intermittent dry cough that repeatedly interrupted his speech. The man revealed to the congregation the same as he had revealed to Blood during the voyage to Shark Island. The fortifications of Deep Castle, the Naval Coalition's command center for operations in the Eastern Tropics, were incomplete, and it was only the heavy patrols in the area that kept the vulnerability hidden. Other useful bits of information were given, such as the resupply schedule, the time at which the garrisons at Deep Castle were rotated, and more. Some felt that the wealth of information seemed too good to be true. After all, the Marine had been beaten and given the bare minimum of food and water. It was quite plausible that he would have said anything just to prevent further torture. Blood was well aware of the possibility his captain would mislead him, and the captain had opted to take more than one prisoner, kept them separated, and interrogated them individually. This system had made it much easier to detect falsehoods, and as a further incentive against deception, the pirate ensured that each liar was made an example of in front of their comrades. Captain Blood took pleasure in watching the Marine squirm as he told the tale of the last victim's fate. The waters had been chummed in preparation, but it was not a simple walking of the plank. No, the deceiver was blinded, emasculated, dismembered, had his tongue cut out, was partially cooked alive, and his writhing, near-dead form was finally thrown overboard to be eaten by the many sharks in the surrounding waters. Worse yet, the captain claimed to have been in a good mood and thus spared the poor soul an even more brutal execution. The tale left many fellow pirates nearly as terrified as the Marine, but more importantly, it erased any doubts about the information's validity. Aided by the merfolk, the Alliance weakened Deep Castle defenses before an attack in force. Merfolk saboteurs slipped through in the late evening, when the exhausted day guards were in the process of swapping with the well-rested night guards. Fires destroyed storerooms filled with food, gunpowder, and other vital supplies. Supply convoys bound for the island were ambushed to create an opportunity for the attack. The loss of Deep Castle crippled the Naval Coalition's ability to operate in the area and secured a home base for the Alliance. Having thrown Coalition forces in the Eastern Tropics into disarray, the pirates raised their flag over Deep Castle and set to expanding their territory while the opportunity presented itself. The Sky Island and above was colonized with the aid of Sun Elf skyships and became known as Fort Brahmamere. A small outpost to the west and a mining outpost on Iron Island to the south were both seized from the Coalition. Skull Island to the southeast, and the Sprat Island cluster to the north. Both formally contested due to the Coalition's efforts to flush the pirates from every cove and hideaway in the region were secured. Occupied islands, such as the Shadow Islands archipelago to the southeast, and Scrap Island to the east, were freed from Coalition rule, bolstering the pirates' forces with the many peoples who chose to ally themselves with their liberators, whether for security or to exact revenge upon their former occupiers. Since its inception, the Pirate Alliance has been ruled by 7 pirate lords, in a similar manner to the 7 ocean lords of the Merfolk kingdoms. Each pirate lord ruled the territory that they had carved out for themselves, albeit loosely. Though they and their subjects enjoy a great degree of freedom, it quickly became apparent that a code of conduct was needed to prevent the Alliance from devouring itself in the long run. As it turned out, a faction made almost entirely out of pirates and other criminal elements, and is not very keen on law and order. An overarching pirate code was penned by Ardranus of the Killer Crew Pirates, who became the first keeper of the pirate code. While the keeper ultimately has little power of their own despite their duty to enforce the code, they are usually aided by one or more of the pirate lords. The code is considered to be an agreement between pirate lords, which they must swear to abide by, and breaking this agreement is treated as an act of betrayal. Over the years, the pirate lords have changed for various reasons. Some, such as the Rumrugger pirates, have left the Alliance but maintain a pact with it. Brakuk Rumrudder himself had disagreements with the pirate code, culminating in his exodus. Others, such as Captain Mangleshell and Captain Theoden Valvalar, left their positions when their homelands joined the Alliance, and they ascended to roles such as Admiral or Fleet Master. Others handed their positions to successors of their choosing, such as Captain Sarah Killicrew and Captain Cursus Undine, whose descendants formed dynasties in their own right. Over the years, various nations formed bonds with the Pirate Alliance. Silithus and Tortuga, home to 2 of the few surface-dwelling species that the merfolk have friendly relationships with, still supported privateering and had ongoing rivalries with several coalition member states. The leadership of both nations were more than happy to throw their lot in with the pirates as a result. The Simian Sky Pirates of Temeria and the forces of Captain Blood in the wastelands of Pelove joined the Alliance due to sharing a common cause. The most recent addition to the Alliance is the Beastkin of the Mist Islands, an archipelago of Sky Islands. They joined the Pirate Alliance following their liberation from enslavement at the hands of a corrupt coalition captain. The growing number of allied nations and pirate crews within the Alliance resulted in the creation of the Alliance Assembly. The Assembly is based in Fort Brahmamere and serves as a place for members of the Alliance to have their voices heard, whether they're the captain of a small crew or the leader of an allied nation. Within the walls of the Assembly, all have a say and will be heard. Of course, to ensure that everyone has a chance to be heard, representatives within the Assembly are required to raise a pennon, which is a small flag, and the mediator will grant them an opportunity to speak at the first available opportunity. In spite of this system, it is ultimately up to the relevant authorities whether or not any action is taken, which has at times raised questions as to the effectiveness of the Assembly. The Alliance accumulates wealth through both criminal and legal means. Smuggling has proven quite lucrative for the Alliance, and many of the poisons and narcotics that find their way into Coalition countries originated from the labs of pirate alchemists. Of course, they still engage in the pirate tradition of raiding vulnerable vessels, but would-be victims are given the option of paying a percentage of their cargo as a toll or an equivalent value in gold. Many travelers passing through the area have come to prefer the toll, much to the delight of many pirates who see it as easy money. Many merchants have been exempt from raids and tolls entirely in exchange for assistance in smuggling operations, or even simply treating the pirates fairly as trading partners. This arrangement has proven lucrative enough that even the Merchant Guild uses supposedly independent traders to do business with the Alliance. One such outpost is the Hand of God, referred to because it is a semi-large, rocky outcropping rising from the ocean floor and beyond the surface that looks like a giant hand. While the Coalition's prohibition on knowingly conducting business with criminals makes trade with the Alliance a risky venture, the pirates are the only ones with access to spices from the New World, which is the unexplored region into the southeast, past Tortuga, Crab Island, and the Merfolk territories. As well as cocoa from the primeval jungle in southern Pelove, and various herbs from the Mist Islands, and other desirable resources. I hope you all enjoyed listening, and sorry if the video is a bit off at times. I have done about 10 takes today trying to nail this. But that aside, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to drop them in the comments section. I enjoy responding to them. I'll do another video on the Pirate Alliance, talking about the actual pirate crews and the pirate lords themselves. I'll also talk about some of the related groups. While many of them will get their own videos, I figured that it'd be good to tell people a little bit about some of the important figures like the Torton and pirates under Captain Mangleshell, who helped in the founding of the Coalition. But until next time, ta-ta!